for the Vice Chancellor's procession. Procession, they come into the arena. Directors of institutes, deans of schools and faculties, the dean of students, the dean of medical sciences, the provost of medical sciences, the provost college of postgraduate studies, the inaugural lecturer, principal officers of our university, led by the captain of the ship, very distinguished learned sir. For the national anthem. First.
Vice Chancellor in Learned Silk, the very distinguished Professor Omoregie, Senior Advocate of Nigeria. Your Excellencies, top government officials present, Your Royal Highnesses, the Chairman of our University's Governing Council and his dear wife, members of the Governing Council, former Vice Chancellors of our university and heads of other institutions, other principal officers of our great university, the provosts, deans, directors, the inaugural lecturer, families of the inaugural lecturer, professors emeriti, other esteemed scholars and administrators here present, my lords, spiritual, brothers, student staff and students, invited guests, gentlemen of the press, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. On this 26th day of March, 2026, we welcome you specially to the University of Benin as it holds the 364th inaugural lecture. To deliver her magnum opus, yet is one of our brightest and best, a professor of ethnobiochemistry in toxicology. A former director of the university's post-UTME board, director, TED Fund Interventions and World Bank NEC Centers of Excellence. Today's lecturer leads the national body of the Society for Experimental Biology as their president. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, she is the first professorial spouse of a sitting vice chancellor of the University of Benin. Professor Mrs. She likes that Mrs. Professor Mrs. Ehimwenma Sheena Omoregie. The topic of her lecture is Unearthing Nature's Natural Cure, my expedition as an ethnobiochemist and toxicologist. May I now invite the registrar of the university, Mr. Ademola Bebola, who is gradually winding up his stewardship in the university to introduce the Vice Chancellor and the Vice Chancellor's procession. Mr. Registrar.
Mr. Vice Chancellor, I want to specially plead and take permission from you as chairman of this very distinguished and historic occasion to abide by the protocol as duly established by the university's PRO, Dr. Mrs. Benedicta Ihanire, who has done it so well. However, Mr. Vice Chancellor, we have the chairman of our council here. I pay due homage to the chairman and members of the University Governing Council, and all other courses duly extended. It is a singular honor for me today to be in this historic occasion. If I have left this university before this happened, it would have pained me so much. Because in all my years in the university, since I started in the early 90s, I've gone to other universities around and so on, even outside this country. I'm not sure I've seen this particular scene that we are seeing here today. So we have an uncommon situation here today. While the program was on, Mr. Vice Chancellor, I was thinking whether we will ask you to go and sit down on this other side and let somebody else preside. but we look at all the rules and the laws governing the university system, and we discovered that you have your role to play, and you must play that particular role, and nobody must take that position from you. And I'm happy today you are playing that significant role, and all of us are product of history today. It's not usual to have a chairman of council and members fully on seat to witness inaugural lectures. We will have the couple one, but not in this point. And in most cases during inaugural lectures, I try to present very distinguished scholars who are assisting the Vice Chancellor, being on his entourage. But today's own is triple of some of those best that we have ever seen. Even the director who was just appointed yesterday is among the people here. However, unlike the usual one, when I will explain who the person is, what the person stands for, to really showcase the university's efforts at expanding its course, we may not have all of those privileges and maybe the pleasure of doing that today, because we need to press for time. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, we have with us today the number one citizen on campus who does not really need any introduction. I'm sure many of us when we were coming here, even if you are invited outside, you must have gathered the information about this dynamic Vice Chancellor who was appointed after a lot of procedural consultations here and there, and then with the federal government's rules and enabling acts of the university. The 11th substantive Vice Chancellor of this university, who distinguished himself as a scholar in the law practice, and thereafter he became a professor, and thereafter he went to the National Institute of Legislative and Democratic Studies in Abuja, where he served as director of the legislative drafting arm of that particular institute. In many bills that you see around, he has his input into most of them, and he distinguished himself to the point that when he was leaving, they knew they were missing someone, but because a greater duty in University of Benin has called. And so he's a senior advocate of Nigeria. That is topmost that anyone can become in the law practice in Nigeria. It's not just by name, you know him everywhere. It is my singular honor and privilege to present to us our dear Vice Chancellor, Professor Edoba B. Omoregie. The VC is ably supported today and always by somebody who shares the same discipline along with the inaugural lecturer of today. And he has been professor since 2002. And that says a lot of things about him, and he's still bubbling, he's still researching. Professor Chris Osubo, Deputy Vice Chancellor Administration. We have a man who is wearing the toga, two caps in different perspectives, but the Vice Chancellor decided to bring him into his seat so as to tap into the other side of him. He's a distinguished scholar, but he's also a traditional chief in the palace of the Oba of Benin. Professor Victor Igbenewuka, the Deputy Vice Chancellor Academic. We have with us the keeper of our treasury, the boss of this university, Mr. O.I. Osifo. The university librarian, Professor Jane Ige Abba. We have the pioneer provost, College of Postgraduate Studies. He might be pioneer, he had been Deputy Vice Chancellor before. He's coming with lots of experience and has raised the bar in that College of Postgraduate Studies, a major focus of the Vice Chancellor's program for the university. Professor David Izeko. We have the number one student. He's a distinguished professor of microbiology and is leading the students, but he has to sit here today. While trying to present him, I was trying to start for the second provost. We have only two provosts. But the provost I've just received now took permission to be away due to very pressing assignment for the university. And the provost is represented here by Deputy Provost, Professor Vivian Ehimwenma. And of course, the Dean Student Affairs, Professor Freddie Ekaise, Dean Student Affairs. The host Dean, I think is one of the biggest hosts we witnessed in this occasion. The Faculty of Life Sciences, Professor T.O.T. Imobe. At least we should give him more of the applause. He's a man of history as well. We have the Dean who recently delivered the first public lecture involving faculties of the university, the Dean of Faculty of Agriculture, Professor C.O. Emokao. The Dean Faculty of Arts, Professor Obi Osadolo. The Dean School of Basic Clinical Sciences, Professor V.J. Ikanem. We have the Dean School of Basic Medical Sciences, Professor H.B. Osadolo. The Dean Faculty of Communication and Media Studies is represented here today ably by Professor Ambrose Ugwenunu. We have the Dean and the Pioneer Dean, Faculty of Computing, Professor V.V.N. Akukuma. The Dean School of Dentistry, Professor Joan Enabulele. And the Dean Faculty of Education, Professor Elvis Agbolao. The Dean Faculty of Engineering, Professor Kingsley Ogbede. The Dean Faculty of Environmental Sciences, Professor Iwugbe Raphael Egato. And the Dean, whom I call the boss of my boss, is the Dean of the Faculty of Law, Professor Bright Bazoe. The Dean Faculty of Management Sciences, Professor Eso Ibinosa. The Dean School of Medicine, thank God for today's occasion. We are seeing his face very well today. Professor Winston Osagiago. The Dean Faculty of Nursing Science is a man. If I call him, he's not Professor Mrs. He's Professor Mr. If you can add the Mr. Professor F.O. Okafo. The Dean Faculty of Optometry is represented here today by Dr. K.N. Bazoaye. The Dean Faculty of Pharmacy and a very good friend of the registrar, Professor Igodao Igbe. The Dean Faculty of Physical Sciences, Professor J.I. Ngwebu. The Dean Faculty of Science Laboratory Technology, Professor J.O. Osamuese. And the Dean Faculty of Social Sciences, Professor Omoregie Osunde, the only Dean of the only faculty. That's according to him. That one is not part of his, but we know that he says he's the only Dean who has produced law and produced the Faculty of Arts. Please, let's give him a round of applause. The acting Dean Faculty of Veterinary Medicine, Dr. Ifeanyi Ebuniwe. And we have also with us today the Dean, Faculty of Vocational and Technical Education, Professor Uko Aviomo. Well, the next director is a very big director. I don't know whether to introduce him because technically the director is present on this occasion, but instead of sitting on that side, the director is sitting on this side. I don't know whether protocol will allow me to also mention that this particular director is present here. Professor Mrs. E.S. Omoregie is the director of Center for Teflon World Bank Center of Excellence. Mr. Chairman, I hope you will pardon me for that. I don't want to be crucified for not mentioning her as being here. Director Center for Gender Studies, Professor Mrs. Lucy Okupo. We have with us also the brand new Director Center for Distance Learning, formerly acting Dean, Faculty of Management Sciences, Professor Esther Evairo Osage. And we have also the Acting Director Center for Entrepreneurship Development, Dr. Mrs. Ivie Ogbede. Well, blessed are those who have not seen and yet believe. They are all there. So I have to say, the camera can try to also catch the individuals there. The Director Center for Forensic and DNA Studies. Maybe we have a DNA studies and he has been assigned to go somewhere on behalf of the university. We have with us today the Director of IPTT Office, Intellectual Property and Technology Transfer Office, Professor S.C. Omoniwo. And we have the Director of Technical Center for Excellence in Agric and Food Technology, Professor Mrs. Ijeoma Patience Obo. The Director Center for Sustainable Development Goals, SDG, Professor Mrs. F.I. Okunbowa. The Director of JUPEP, Professor K.O. Ilabare. Biochemists should not be tired of clapping for these people who have come to honor us. There are natural things to take to make sure that you can continue to clap without getting tired. Director of Strategic Planning and Quality Assurance Office, Professor Peter Sede. And we also have the Director of University Advancement and Alumni Relations, the former University Orator, Professor Eje Ragwe. I don't know what magic he gets. When you introduce him, even when you want to be silent, people still clap very well for him. Director of Advanced Digital Engineering Center, ADEC, Professor R.S. Ebojiagwe. And we have also a distinguished law professor, this time around, Professor Mrs. N.F. Unigbe, who is the Director of DRIT, Research, Innovation and Development. The Director of External Linkages and Internationalization, Professor Mrs. A.E. Odiko. Director of Students Counseling and Career Service Center, Professor O.N. Aye. And then the Director of General Studies of this University, Professor N. Ohomba. The Director Center for Mushroom and Research and Technology Innovations, Professor E.O. Akpaja. The Director Central Research Laboratory, Professor B. Ikajiagbe. Director Center for Continuing Legal Education, a brand new center that is making waves and would be known both locally and internationally for excellence. Professor Dennis Odigye. The Director of University of Benin Industrial Training Center, Professor S.D. Iyeke. Director Step B Program, Professor Mrs. N. Kayode Ojo. The Director Nigerian Education Loan Fund, NEL Fund. Incidentally, that's the only university that started loan fund having a full directorate and has increased the student enrollment on that program from less than 300 to almost 10,000 plus students. Professor E.E. Imariagwe, that's the Director of NEFON. Acting Director, Institute of Education, Professor K. He's about to become professor, but he's still Dr. K. Imasoy. Acting Director, Institute of Public Administration and Health Services Management, Dr. John Osagai. Director, Center for Maritime and ICT, Dr. F.O. Uwoye. The other time I used to call this name, everybody would be laughing. I think I've improved this in the pronunciation. Of course, we have with us today the Director of Consultancy Services, Engineer Professor R.O. Edopia. The Director of Petroleum Energy and Energy System Research Center, PESCO. Those are rare places to see because they are always exploring in the petroleum industry. But today is the man, Engineer Professor A.O. Olafuyi. The Director Center for Educational Technologies Center, Dr. Mrs. N.B. Agaowa. He has promised to improve on the technology ethics of this place with good facilities, and she's working on that. The Director of Urban Environmental Marshal Services, Dr. E. Osamiro Osagiowari. And we have the Director Institute of Herbal and Complementary Medicine, Professor Mrs. Josephine Ofemu. The Director of Academic Planning Unit of the University, Dr. Mrs. O.M. Edeki is representing the Director of that center. Please, let's give her a round of applause. We have with us also the Director of University Admissions Board, UAB, Professor E.O. Iginosa. We have also the Director of Equipment Maintenance Center, Professor C.E. Akabwe. On the Vice Chancellor's entourage, the first place we saw, the brand new Director of Senate Matters of this university, Mrs. C.I. Egiato. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I just have to run through. That has taken a bit of time. I want to apologize if the time is a bit much, but we need to introduce all members of the Vice Chancellor's entourage. It is now the time to call our Vice Chancellor to perform the official duty of presenting to us the academic and all other background information about our inaugural lecturer today. But we all know that she's a distinguished woman on her own. For those who have moved very close to her, she has a very amiable personality. You can't just miss her in the crowd with her calmness. She has studied both within Nigeria and outside. You would have seen all the profile. Even ordinarily, if she's the one only, this hall will be filled up. While she served in different capacities in the university, people really gave her the accolades for excellent performance. However, who am I to talk about our inaugural lecturer today? Mr. Vice Chancellor, sir, it is time for you to make your presentation.
Thank you so much, Registrar. The Pro-Chancellor and Chairman of the Governing Council of the University of Benin, Professor Umaru Shuaibu, here present. Thank you so much, sir, for your wonderful leadership for our university. Thank you so much, sir. Members of the university's Governing Council, permit me to especially recognize a distinguished public servant, former Attorney General of Edo State, two-time member of the House of Representatives, Right Honorable Dr. Samson Osaigbe. I also especially recognize Deborah, also two-time member of the House of Representatives, Right Honorable Rufai Ahmed Chachangi, they are present. Principal officers of the University of Benin, Provost College of Postgraduate Studies, Provost College of Medical Sciences, deans of faculties and schools, directors of institutes and centers, professors emeriti, and members of the Senate of the University of Benin, my lords, spiritual and temporal, staff and students of the great University of Benin, great university students, distinguished invited guests and friends of the University of Benin, gentlemen of the press, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, it is with great delight I welcome you to the 364th in the inaugural lecture series of the University of Benin. Today's lecture is the 11th to be delivered in the Department of Biochemistry. The 51st in the Faculty of Life Sciences, and the 35th to be delivered in my tenure as Vice Chancellor of this great university. Ladies and gentlemen, it's my pleasure to introduce the guest, the inaugural lecturer for today, Professor Mrs. Ehimwenma Sheena Omoregie. The title of our lecture is, quote, Unearthing Nature's Natural Cures, My Expedition as an Ethnobiochemist and Toxicologist, end of quote. Professor Mrs. Ehimwenma Sheena Omoregie was born on the 3rd of July, 1971 to the family of Mr. Wellington Agbon and Mrs. Mary Uleonwo Uswanele Ni Omoregie of Ronde local government area of Edo State. She had a primary school at Lagos Mainland Primary School, Lagos State, where she obtained her first school leaving certificate in 1982. She then attended the Onike Girls High School, Lagos, where she obtained her West African school certificate in 1987. Professor Omoregie gained admission into the University of Lagos, where she obtained the Bachelor of Science degree in Biochemistry in 1992. She participated in a 1-year mandatory National Youth Service program at Manda Hill Secondary School at Kwanga, then Plateau State, now in Nasarawa State of Nigeria, from 1992 to 1993. In her quest for more knowledge, Professor Omoregie obtained a master's degree in biochemistry in 1995 from the University of Ibadan and a PhD in biochemistry in 2005 from this university. In addition, she acquired the following advanced certificates. She's postgraduate certificate, doctoral certificate from the Central Institute of Medicinal and Aromatic Plants in Lucknow, India, 2009. Visiting scholar certificate from the Institute of Microbiology, Beijing, China, 2011. And the senior visiting scholar certificate from the University of the Basque Country, Bilbao, Spain, 2003. Professor Omoregie started her academic career as an assistant lecturer in the Department of Biochemistry, University of Ibadan from 1996 to 1998. She thereafter joined the services of the University of Benin as an assistant lecturer in the Department of Biochemistry and rose through the rank to the position of Professor of Biochemistry in the year 2015. She has held several administrative positions within and outside the university, such as member, investigative panel into allegations of fraudulent manipulation of students' results in the Department of Optometry, 2012, Faculty of Life Sciences representative in the College of Medical Sciences, University of Benin, 2010 to 2013, Faculty of Life Sciences representative in the Library and Routine Publication Committee, 2010 to 2020. Head Biochemistry Unit, Department of Basic Sciences, Faculty of Basic and Applied Sciences, Benson University, Benin City, 2012 to 2013, where she was on sabbatical leave. A member focal person for Faculty of Life Sciences, Uniben Annual Research Day Committee, 2015. The head Department of Biochemistry, for 5 years, from 2017 to 2021. She's been acting Dean of Faculty of Life Sciences, standing for the Substantive Dean, March 2018. The Faculty of Life Sciences representative in the Optometry Clinic Management Committee from 2018 to 2021. She has been chairperson and director of the Post-Unified Tertiary Matriculation and Examination Board of the University of Benin from 2020 to 2025. She has been member of Business Subcommittee of Senate, the Faculty of Physical Sciences 2021 to 2022, and Vice Chancellor's representative in the Examination Monitoring Committee of the University of Benin 2021 to 2022. She has been director, and she is still director, of the Third Fund project and the coordinator of the NUC World Bank Center of Excellence, University of Benin, since last year. She's chairperson of the steering committee for the advanced certificate programs in the Central Research Laboratory of the University of Benin from 2015 to date. She's member of the General Studies Management Board of the University of Benin from 2025 to date. Professor Omoregie belongs to several professional bodies and associations, among which are, she's a fellow of the Nigerian Society of Biochemistry and Molecular Biology. She is also a fellow and current president of the Nigerian Society of Experimental Biology. She is a member of the Association of Organization of Women in Science for the Developing World. She is also a member of the International Union of Biochemistry and Molecular Biology. She is also a member of the Royal Society of Tropical Medicine and Hygiene, United Kingdom. She is a member of the American Society of Tropical Medicine and Hygiene. And she is also a member of the European Association for Cancer Research. Professor Omoregie is a recipient of several research grants and awards, including University of Benin Research Grants 2003, 2016, 2017, 2018. She is a recipient of the Eminent Women in Science Award by the Organization for Women in Science for the Developing World, 2021. She has been awarded Postdoctoral Fellowship Award from 2008 to 2009, which she did at Lucknow in India for 1 year. She was visiting research scholar at the Beijing Institute of Microbiology 2011. She has also received the TWAS ROSAP Travel Award of 2021. She has also received the South African Society of Biochemistry and Molecular Biology Travel Grants visiting Johannesburg in 2018. She is the recipient of the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation Global Health Travel Grant visiting Ethiopia 2019. She has been received travel grant from the University of Alicante, Spain, travel grant for 2022. She has also been recipient of the Third Fund National Research Fund Award of 2023. She's also a recipient of the Science by Women Senior Visiting Scholars Fellowship Award 2022, which she used at the University of the Basque Country in Bilbao, Spain. She is the recipient of the Eminent Women in Science Award, the Organization of Women in Science for the Developing World, University of Benin Branch 2023. Professor Omoregie has successfully supervised 18 PhD theses, 40 MSc dissertations, and 7 MPhil dissertations. She has also supervised over 150 Bachelor of Science projects. She has over 100 academic publications. She still hasn't met my own feet, which is over 150. But she's coming up. Huh? Comprising books and articles in peer-reviewed journals. She has served as external examiner, assessor, resource person to federal, state, and private universities across the country. She has also served in various accreditation panels of the National Universities Commission, NUC. Professor Omoregie has attended several local, national, and international conferences and workshops. She's a reviewer and editor of several scientific journals, such as the Nigerian Journal of Basic and Applied Sciences, the Nigerian Society of Experimental Biology Journal, the Nigerian Journal of Life Sciences, the Asian Journal of Medicine and Health, Journal of Biology and Nature, the Nigerian Journal of Biochemistry and Molecular Biology, and Frontiers in Pharmacology, sections in Ethnopharmacology, among several others. Professor Omoregie is a community leader that takes pleasure in supporting local causes and mentoring young academics, among others. Her hobbies are reading, listening to music, learning new languages, and creative writing. She is a devout Christian of the Baptist faith. She is married to Professor Edward Bright Omoregie, SAR. Vice Chancellor of the University of Benin. And the union is blessed with 4 daughters. These are their here. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, it's now my pleasure to invite Professor Mrs. Ehimwenma Sheena Omoregie to deliver our inaugural lecture.
Vice Chancellor, sir, please permit me to stand on the existing protocol. But even at that, I have to appreciate the presence of everyone here, especially the chairman of the Governing Council and the other members of council, and as well as guests, family members, students of UNIBEN. Thank you. I wish to dedicate this inaugural lecture to God Almighty for making this possible, for letting me see today. It is a great day for me. I know I've always pushed off this time. I would have done this long ago, but I think it was the Lord's doing to do it now. And I also wish to dedicate this inaugural to the memory of my great, strong mothers. My mom, Mrs. Mary Lewo Usohele, and Mrs. Mariana Izodua Omoregie, my mother-in-law. They are both late now, but I know they are still guiding over this family. I also wish to dedicate this inaugural to my sweetheart, Professor Edward B. Omoregie, SAM, and our beautiful daughters, Osarina Se, Iwo Omoregie, Osazura, Osayana, and Osasogi, for their constant unflinching support and prayers. Mr. Vice Chancellor, sir, I am deeply honored to be given this opportunity to stand before you today to deliver the 364th inaugural lecture in the inaugural lecture series. This occasion is not just a ceremonial milestone, but a commitment to share a sustained scholarly journey and its relevance to modern biomedical science and public health and national development. This lecture, as titled, reflects a field that is evolving as a specialized area of academic research. It brings together fields like ethnobotany, pharmacognosy, biochemistry, toxicology, as well as cultural healing practices. And my research adds to this growing body of knowledge. My journey began with my master's dissertation, which was supervised by one of my mentors, Professor Godwin Omoregie at the University of Ibadan. During this program, I developed an interest in the therapeutic potential of natural products, especially medicinal plants. I had a classmate at that time, Aki Awodogu, who is late now. We used to discuss how we can get medicinal plants and see they have therapeutic properties against cancer treatments. And this was what formed the base of my PhD thesis as at that time. After my MSc program, I joined the Department of Biochemistry at the same University of Ibadan as an assistant lecturer, where I commenced my PhD focused on evaluating medicinal plants used in local treatments and management of cancer. A year later, I had to join the University of Benin in 1998 because I just got married to my sweetheart, Professor Omoregie. And this then was not a son. And this marked the beginning of the next phase of my academic and research career. Here is the outline of my presentation. I will start quickly with the introduction. What is biochemistry? It is the study of chemical processes, structures, functions within living organisms at the molecular level, bridging biology, physiology, chemistry, and even pharmacy. It explores how key biomolecules such as proteins, nucleic acids, lipids, and carbohydrates interact to bring metabolism, cellular growth, and the transmission of genetic information. The root of biochemistry can be traced back to the early 19th century, when scientists embarked on a quest to unravel the chemical processes within living cells. We call biochemistry generally as the chemistry of life, because we deal with biomolecules in the living system. At the dawn of the 20th century, the crossroads of chemistry, physiology, and biology converged, giving birth to biochemistry as a distinct discipline. Biochemistry has several sub-disciplines, and ethnobiochemistry is one of such sub-disciplines. So it is therefore a specialized area of biochemistry. Ethnobiochemistry examines the biochemical components of traditional knowledge by analyzing active secondary metabolites, such as alkaloids, flavonoids. These are natural chemicals found in plants. So most times, as an ethnobiochemist, we extract them using solvents like ethanol, methanol, and even water. So when you extract methanol, we say it's a methanol extract of the plants. And when it is ethanol extract. When it's water, it's aqueous. So sometimes ethnobiochemistry and ethnopharmacology can be closely related. What we do in two different sub-disciplines can sometimes overlap. In this lecture, I shall trace the evolution of ethnobiochemistry, discuss how indigenous knowledge forms the foundation of ethnobiochemistry, acknowledge the key researchers whose contributions have shaped it, and illustrate my contribution to this expanding body of knowledge. I will also discuss the dual nature of natural products, and then I will conclude and offer my recommendations and acknowledgements. Mr. Vice Chancellor, sir, the history of ethnobiochemistry illustrates humanity's long-standing dependence of natural biological resources for health and survival. It began with 19th century ethnobotanical studies. These early descriptive studies laid the groundwork for recognizing medicinal importance of ethnobiological resources. In the mid-19th and early 20th centuries, ethnopharmacology emerged to scientifically test traditional medicine. That is, before this time, the ethno-medicinal practice was just to collect plant parts, do a concoction or decoction, and use it to treat locally. So with time, in the mid-19th and 20th century, it changed. We now brought some science into it. We try to validate what they do. So later, molecular biology and related fields improved understanding of complex natural product interaction. This led to ethnobiochemistry, combining multiple sciences to study these effects. In Africa, development of this field is linked to its rich ethno-medicinal traditions. We know we have a lot of traditional healers in Africa, and especially in Nigeria. Nigeria is known for its biodiversity and cultural variety, incorporates indigenous medicinal plants into primary healthcare. So we'll talk briefly about indigenous knowledge and biodiversity and relate it to Nigeria. Indigenous knowledge, often called traditional ecological knowledge, forms the foundation of ethnobiochemistry. And the methods used are vital for biodiversity conservation by protecting key species, sacred sites, and promoting sustainable harvesting. In Africa, especially in Nigeria, local knowledge of medicinal plants usually guides ethnobiochemical research and drug development. Most times in my little lab, before we embark on any study using medicinal plants, we first of all ask what is the local usage of these plants. So I always tell my students, go and find out claims about these plants. So we did medicinal survey of plants used for different disease conditions like cancer, anemia, and so on. So we will discuss briefly contributions of key researchers in this area. The first one, which I think we should all know, is Tu Yu, a Chinese woman who discovered artemisinin in Chinese medicinal plants, and she won a Nobel Prize for her discovery in 2015. We also have James Duke, who created databases of phytochemicals or compounds that are isolated from medicinal plants. Locally, we have Professor Gani Obu of Federal University of Technology, Akure, who is noted for his research in ethnobiochemistry. He has done a lot of work on functional foods, nutraceuticals, for managing various degenerative diseases. For me and my collaborators, I have advanced ethnobiochemistry by studying medicinal plants used to treat various disease conditions. Our research has been able to validate their safety and explore how they work against conditions like malaria, inflammation, cancer, using both laboratory and animal studies. Mr. Vice Chancellor, sir, please permit me to talk about my contribution to this field. My research in ethnobiochemistry and toxicology draws from Nigeria's rich ethnobotanical traditions combined with scientific methods. We have published over 100 papers, as said before, cited more than 1,510 times as at March 2022, and I have an H index of 20 and I-10 index of 29. These achievements stem from our collaborations with dedicated researchers in my research field. My research on anemia began with recognizing that sickle cell disease and nutritional deficiencies are major causes in many Nigerian communities. Anemia is a public health problem affecting both developed and developing countries, impacting health and socioeconomic development with severe side effects on pregnant women and children. It results from too few healthy red blood cells, or when you have a low hemoglobin concentration, and limiting oxygen delivery to the cells. It is common in low and middle income countries. Globally, we normally say anemia is a disease of the poor, but even the rich can have it without even knowing. Globally, about 43% of children, 38% of pregnant women, 29% of non-pregnant women, and 29% of women of reproductive age are anemic. Nigeria faces severe anemia burden, with over 40% affected, straining resources in less developed areas. Anemia linked to protein energy malnutrition was our focus, especially marasmic kwashiorkor, because at that time we could not even do a research where you can create an anemic condition in laboratory animal. what I'm talking about is that as far back as 1998, it was difficult. So my supervisor and I discussed all ways to create anemia before we now stumble on anemia related to protein energy malnutrition. Because in PN, anemia is one of the symptoms of PN. PN is as a result of severe long-term deficiency of protein and calories, primarily affecting children of weaning age in developing countries due to poor intake, absorption, and increased nutrient needs, is one of the leading causes of child mortality. My supervisor, Professor Omoregie of blessed memory, and I have investigated affordable, accessible, and less toxic treatments for anemia in medicinal plants found in the southwestern part of Nigeria. From our survey, we found that 4 main plants were used in this region for treating anemia. One of them is Tephora occidentalis, which is a common ugu leaf, the Sotis botanifolia, known as a Bafo in Benin, Jatropha tangerensis, which we call hospital for Catholic vegetable, or lapalapa in Yoruba, and the aloe babadensis, known as commonly as aloe vera. Fruited pumpkin, or ugu leaf, is a creeping perennial from the cucurbitaceae family. It's grown and eaten in southern parts of Nigeria. In 2002, Omoregie and Sage studied the composition and effects of this leaf on blood and liver and lipid levels in rats fed on a low protein diet. We had 3 groups of animals, and we gave them the first group normal protein diet. It was normal group, 21% protein. Second group and third group were given low protein diet, 2% of protein, for 6 weeks to induce marasmic kwashiorkor. Then one of the minority group were now given 8% of ugu leaf in their diet. This is a picture showing ugu leaf. Our findings from this study show that rats fed on the protein deficient diet showed signs of marasmic kwashiorkor, including weight loss, failure to strive, anorexia, flaky hair, which was more pronounced in the group that was not given the plant supplements than compared to the supplemented group. The supplemented malnourished rat has significantly improved blood parameters, PCV, hemoglobin, blood vessel, compared to the untreated group. Protein deficient rats also had higher lipid cholesterol levels, but they were significantly reduced by supplementation with ugu leaf. We also analyzed the phytochemicals, the chemicals that are in the leaf, and we found that it was a nutrient-rich plant containing protein, fat, carbohydrate, calcium, vitamins, and bioactive compounds such as alkaloids, saponins, and tannins. These findings indicate that it has anti-anemic and lipid-lowering effects, where 8% of these leaves are included in the diet of these animals. And we propose that the bioactive compounds present in the leaf might have enhanced erythropoietin production, promoting red blood cell formation. We also studied Jatropha tangerensis leaf for its anti-anemic property, and we did the same thing like we did for ugu leaf, and we discovered that at 8% supplementation of Jatropha, there is a reversal of the malnourished states, like we have in ugu. But I noticed most times when I had to do experiments feeding animals with Jatropha or hospital leaf, the blood of the animals are darker, and they clot easily when exposed to air. So that is a mechanism we are still looking at. So this is a picture of hospital or Jatropha leaf. Is in the same family with cassava, Euphorbiaceae family. Based on these results, we now studied the effect of Jatropha leaf extract on some nutritional oxidative stress indices in protein energy malnourished rats. And we concluded that the extract bioactive compounds likely offered antioxidant, anti-anemic, and organ protective benefits, by reducing oxidative stress caused by the malnourished state of the animals, supporting red blood cell production. Because we got to know that when an animal is stressed nutritionally, what I mean by stressed, there are free radicals produced in the animals as a result of the low protein diet. There is tendency for them to have high level of reactive oxygen species. So we are saying that this extract can counteract that effect when we give it to the animals, because they have phytochemicals who act in that manner as antioxidants. So our study established that dietary supplementation of 8% of hospital true-fat leaves may provide antioxidant benefits in rats under nutritional oxidative stress. Nutritional oxidative stress in animals may result from an imbalance favoring oxidants, causing oxidative overload and reactive oxygen species production. Reactive oxygen species such as peroxide anion and hydroxy radical can damage cellular components like proteins, lipids, and DNA, contributing to diseases like diabetes, atherosclerosis, malaria, arthritis. This is a diagram showing what oxidative stress can cause to the cell. The first diagram there is showing a cell with a well-structured morphology. And you see the one in the middle, which has been attacked by free radicals, showing some degenerative features. And the last cell is showing cell death or apoptosis. And then this other diagram is showing the imbalance between free radicals produced and the antioxidants that are supposed to mop up the free radicals being produced in that system. So apart from anemia, Mr. Vice Chancellor, sir, we also looked at sickle cell disease, which is a genetic disorder in which abnormal red blood cells block blood vessels and damage organs. In Nigeria, limited access to care results to about 80% of affected children dying before the age of 5. Omoregie in 2017 evaluated a medicinal plant, diphtheria microcarpon stem bag, for anti-sickling effect in vitro, that is, outside the living organism. So what we did is to collect blood from 35 sickle cell patients with their consent, and we now gave the extracts in different groups in petri dishes, introduce sickling, and see if the extract can counteract the effect. And we found out that when we compared the effect of the extract to a known anti-sickling compound, para-hydroxybenzoic acid, it works even better than that compound. This is a diagram of a normal red blood cell, which has normal morphology of the cell. And then the middle one is a sickled cell at 45 minutes, and the last one is the cells which is more deformed after 90 minutes. And then this slide shows introduction of the known anti-sickling compound para-hydroxybenzoic acid, showing a reversal of sickling. And then we also show the last two photographs of the microcarpon plants reversing sickling too, similar to that of the para-hydroxybenzoic acid. And we noticed that it was a dose-dependent activity, because at 5 milligrams it was not as good as 10 milligrams, which is the last photograph. Then we further went to do in silico study using molecular docking tool to see what is the mechanism of action of these extracts. And we docked about 6 compounds against deoxyhemoglobin and 2,3-bisphosphoglycerate mutase. At the end of the day, we discovered that 3 out of the 6 compounds were active against the binding sites of deoxyhemoglobin and 2,3-bisphosphate. So when you do molecular docking, it's in silico docking, computerized kind of experiment without using animals. And then you look at the 3D or 2D structure in this case of the binding so that you can get an idea of the mechanism of action of your drug or compound, which in this case, we propose that 3 compounds were active. So these 3 compounds were previously isolated from the Ithorian microcarpon plants. And the 3 compounds were 5-alpha, 8-alpha-2 oxocolaveric acid, copalic acid, which are known to be strong in interaction with hydroxyurea, the reference compound. So, Mr. Vice Chancellor, sir, we also went ahead to study the phytochemical screening, proximate composition, antioxidant properties of some medicinal plants. Because we've talked about phytochemicals all along. These are compounds found in medicinal plants. And when we use them for validation study like we do, we also need to know what they do. So we have several types of phytochemicals: polyphenols, carotenoids, flavonoids, vitamin C and E found in medicinal plants, and they are known to act as strong antioxidants, reducing oxidative damage and disease risks. So we have some natural polyphenols who are effective through free radical scavenging, methylation, and enhancing antioxidant activity. So this diagram is showing what oxidative stress can cause to the body. There is a strong link between production of the active oxygen species with aging, with inflammatory disease, cardiovascular diseases, as well as cancer, and so on. So we studied the antioxidant properties of ethanol extract of some medicinal plants. In this case, we looked at bitter leaf, Venona medalina, Crassosaphalum rubrum, which is known as ebolo in the West, Talinum triangularum, water leaf, Amaranthus albidus, that is your green vegetable, Jatropha tangerensis, the same hospital too far, and Mithium africanum, that is the famous okazi leaf. We looked at their antioxidant profile, and we found out that out of the 6 vegetables that we normally consume, the hospital too far, ebolo and water leaf show the strongest antioxidant effects, both in vitro and in vivo analysis that we did. Their leaves were found to be rich in natural antioxidants, and they may offer a safer alternative to synthetic antioxidants. This study confirms their traditional use for antioxidant benefits. We went further and also analyzed the phytochemical composition, phenolic content, antioxidant properties of spondyles membrane and periantia longifolia, a work carried out by Omoregie and Omoregie in 2015. And we found out that both extracts contain phytochemicals like alkaloids, sugars, flavonoids, tannins. However, the Ehimwenma plants had higher content of these phytochemicals than the P. longifolia. And the antioxidant effect is due to their phenolic compounds, neutralizing free radicals and healing therapy. So these are some publications that we've done in this area. Thank you. So apart from looking at anemia, sickness, we also look at malaria. Mr. Vice Chancellor, sir, malaria remains a major health issue, especially in Africa, with Plasmodium falciparum causing millions of infected cases and deaths annually. Nigeria bears a significant burden. My malaria research began during my 1-year postdoctoral tenure at CIMA, Central Institute of Medicinal and Aromatic Plants, in Lucknow, India. We have collaborated with Dr. Anibal Powell's group to evaluate the anti-plasmodial and cytotoxic properties of Venolia, Amidaluria, Jatropha tangerensis, and Moringa oleifera leaves. Some of our findings are published in literature. For the common bitter leaf, which I took to India then, we extracted using ethanol, aqueous, and hydroethanol solvents. And we also did a form of chemical fingerprints of this extract using HPTLC. The extracts were tested in vitro against chloroquine-sensitive strain of Plasmodium parasites. And we also did a cytotoxicity study on the extract using non-cancerous varicella line. And the most effective extracts among these three were further tested in vivo using Swiss mice. The in vitro study showed that the ethanol extract had the highest anti-plasmodial effect, and we had low subchronic toxicity in mice. It demonstrated significant dose-dependent activity against P. bengal with 82.3% inhibition at the highest dose of 1,000 milligrams per kg. However, the ethanol extract was not as effective as chloroquine, which was our reference compound. Compared to chloroquine, it gave a moderate activity. The ethanol extract also helped prevent weight loss, reduced anemia, oxidative stress, and pro-inflammatory cytokines in extract-treated mice. We propose from our findings that the observed anti-plasmodial immunomodulatory effects of bitter leaf extract may be due to its antioxidant phytocompounds such as flavonoids and sesquiterpene lactose. Our findings therefore support its traditional use against malaria and suggest potential for combination therapy. You notice we compare the extract activity with chloroquine. Chloroquine is a pure compound. We were working with an extract, so we can imagine being able to extract what is in bitter leaf. It will even work more than chloroquine. And we will not be another scientist that discovered anti-malaria from bitter leaf, like you. So we also look at anti-plasmodial potential of hospital 2,5 leaf, work done by Omoregie and Sisodia, 2012. And we found that the ethanol extract of that leaf also had various anti-plasmodial activity, low cytotoxicity in varicella line with a selectivity index of 8. But the effect was still moderate compared to chloroquine, because chloroquine is a pure compound. Mr. Vice Chancellor, sir, after completing a postdoctoral fellowship sponsored by TWAS and the Council of Scientific Industry and Research in India, I returned to Nigeria to continue my malaria research with my mentees and other collaborators. Okunba and Omoregie studied the antiplasmodial and hematological effects of ethanol extract of Ficus capensis leaf in plasmodium fungal infected mice using Peter's 4-day suppressive test. And we also found out that the extract worked in a dose-dependent manner against the parasites, improved hematological indices in the infected mice. Another collaboration with Rabo, Ebola, and others, we found that combining vitamin C with anti-malaria drugs can improve the antioxidant activity in that system and reduce oxidative damage in infected mice. That work was published in a severe journal. We also carried out another study by myself and my team on Alabronchia floribuda, commonly known as elephant rice or Izemi in Benin. We checked for the toxicity of these plants, the antiplasmodial effects, and its chemical properties as well as safety. And from the results, the extracts showed activity against Plasmodium Bengal parasites, and it was able to control oxidative stress, improve blood health, with confirmed safety at therapeutic dose. This is a picture of the Alabronchia floribunda, elephant rice or Israeli. It has a very large fruit. We also went further and did some work on Tetracardium didymosterone leaf, which is known commonly as soap tree. And we discovered that 500 mg per kg, there was improved antioxidant activity, reduced liver damage, and reversal in parasite-induced changes in the infected mice. We also confirmed that the plant was stable and safe at a particular dose. This is also a picture showing the Tetracardium didymosterone leaf. And I also did some work with my youngest mentee in the lab, Miss Ayayere. We did some work on this plant, which we call pipe plant or osu in Benin. The name of the plant is Pacralina mitida. We worked on the fruitweed extract and showed that it has anti-plasmodial and immune-boosting effects in Plasmodium Bengal infected mice. We went further to study the antimicrobial potential of medicinal plants, starting with sweet orange. That is your normal orange that you drink. Sweet orange fruit comprises the peel, made up of the flavonol and the albedo. That is the peel of the orange. And it also has the inner part, known as the endocarp, which contains the juice vesicles. And then we have the seed embedded within the juice vesicle. Omoregie reported key phytochemicals in the dried peel and the seed. These are things you dispose after drinking orange. So we thought about it and felt that we should check this orange peel and as well as the seed and see if they have activity. And we found out that they have antimicrobial activity. In short, the students that did this work did a lot of work, going to the market to get a lot of oranges. You can imagine how much they had to collect. The market women were happy because they had a ready source of disposing their waste. So this study was a form of waste to wealth. Mr. Vice Chancellor sir, in October 2011, I went on another research expedition to Beijing, China, as a visiting scholar, where I collaborated with Professors Li and her team to unravel the mechanism of action of a protein, which had an unknown mechanism before I joined the scene. The name of the protein is tetraspanin 6. From our studies, we were able to establish that tetraspanin 6 inhibits immune responses by lowering virus-induced cytokine activation, acting as a negative regulator of cytokine pathway. Because normally these cytokines are released when there is viral infection. So what tetraspanin 6 does is to regulate the action of that release, so it will not result in autoimmune condition. So it's a regulatory protein. When I joined the research team, they didn't know what the mechanism was, but they were seeing results. So my joining the team, we were able to unravel this problem. So we also went ahead to look at metabolic syndrome condition, in which case we looked at glycemic indices and glycemic levels on Nigerian foods. Glycemic index is a nutritional measure of how quickly carbohydrates in food are digested and raise blood sugar levels after eating. It is determined by comparing the rise in blood glucose after consuming 50 grams of carbohydrates from a test food. So we have some foods that we call high glycemic index food. that is high GI foods. And these high GI foods can trigger insulin response and thereby reducing GI may lower risks of diabetes and heart conditions. So what we are saying is that when you take high GI food, that is when you take food that can release glucose into your bloodstream and spike up your glucose, you are going through the route of having metabolic syndrome condition. So you have to be careful which food you eat. So we did some analysis of 10 Nigerian staple foods. Professor Osagi and I did this work together as at that time in 2007. We were the first to establish the glycemic indices of 10 Nigerian staple foods made from yam, cassava, and local cereals, which were served as viscous paste. We had 50 healthy volunteers from the University of Benin between the ages of 16 and 40. They were made to fast overnight, and we gave them exactly the same amount of carbohydrates in the different meals that was cooked by trained caterer. And when they came back after fasting the next day to the lab, we took their fasting blood sugar and then we gave them the meal, telling them that they will eat a better meal after the experiment. We started taking their blood sugar level. And we also promised them more incentive, which I will not say here. And we also got consent from them. And we made sure they didn't leave the environment, because some of them got hungry at a time. The study was quite interesting, and we were able to know that foods like your wheat, even amala, semolina, semovita, have high glycemic indices. Why? Because when they are processed, the processing procedure can reduce fiber in those food, so that will spike up glucose when they are eating. So processing of your food matters a lot. So I would also advise that we should go more to your native food. Don't go for all these sausages, Western diets. Probably that's what is causing this high level of cancer and diabetes that we are seeing today. In other work with Dr. Isiosio, we evaluated how different levels of gelatinization can alter starch digestibility. And we worked on 2 Nigerian foods, usi from cassava. Usi is brilliant for starch, and okpa from Bavara granules. And we discovered that gelatinization can affect the GI of these 2 diets. We also did phytochemical screening and anti-obesity study on some medicinal plants. We worked on these native African star apple and the bush mango, Chrysophyllum albigum and Alvingia vabolensis. We were able to discover that these 2 plants have anti-obesity, anti-hyperlipidemic effect. They can reduce weight, because we have to reduce obesity in laboratory animals using high-fat diets, and fed these animals with the seed from otium or agbalino, and the bush mango. The bush mango is your fake ogbolo seed, and that fake ogbolo seed is even better than your ogbolo seed, because it can reduce weight. So apart from looking for therapy, we also look at the toxicity of these plants. So we don't say, Professor Omoregie says you go and be eating plants. There is also dose in extract usage. Because when you are talking about extracts, they are concentrated form of the plants you see in the market. So, like the Blanca floribunda stem bag that we use for anti-malaria study, we did 28-day study on that plant and found that organs function and the overall outlook of the animal that we gave the Blanca floribunda stem bag were not affected by the extract. We already did a subacute toxicity study on Patrocalcium divinostelum in experimental rats. We gave them this plant for 14 days, and they were found not to have any toxic predisposition. Mr. Vice Chancellor, sir, this lecture highlighted both the therapeutic benefits and risks of ethnomedicinal plants. Their bioactive compound can treat various diseases but may be harmful if not properly dosed. There should be careful testing and dose control. For instance, our studies on plants such as blanchium and tetrachydium show benefits at certain doses but adverse effects at higher doses. So there should be regulatory standards to maintain quality as these plants enter formal healthcare. My recommendation, Mr. Vice Chancellor, sir, validating anti-medicinal plants through ethnobiochemistry raises important policy issues that require strong quality control, safety mechanism, ethical use, and fair benefit sharing. You cannot just take medicinal plants from these ethno-medicine practitioners and they don't get any benefits in return. So there should be a system of benefits, fair benefit sharing. And we also try to encourage interdisciplinary and transdisciplinary integration that will help to create more validation of these medicinal plants. And then scientists in this field should be ready to meet up with emerging diseases. So we have to continuously look for new therapeutic candidates in these medicinal plants. So when another pandemic comes, the ethnobiochemist should be ready to address this condition. Climate change impacts medicinal plant and traditional knowledge, so research should focus on monitoring, resilience, and sustainable use in changing environments. Like I said, there should be fair benefit sharing. So key issues such as respecting intellectual property rights, ensuring fair benefit sharing with the indigenous community must be addressed in line with international standards like the Nagoya Protocol. Then we also need to encourage capacity building, training for not just researchers, even those traditional healers. They should be carried along in training on how to use medicinal plant parts. In China, in India, they have a very robust industry. They have their own special spoon to give those to their patients at that traditional level. So regulators must enforce strict quality and safety standards for plant-based therapy, supporting their integration into healthcare, promoting sustainable development. Mr. Vice Chancellor, sir, this lecture presents my work linking indigenous knowledge with science to create health solutions from Africa's biodiversity. My research highlights medicinal plant effects on health, supporting ethnobiochemistry's role in healthcare and conservation. My studies also focus on evaluating traditional medicine's benefits and safety, stressing ethics and quality control. The future of ethnobiochemistry in Nigeria depends on technology, collaboration, and regulation. With proper investment, it can position Nigeria as a leader in natural product innovation, benefiting both science and tradition. For my acknowledgement, I wish to acknowledge the Almighty God. I return all glory, honor, and adoration to the Almighty God, the giver of life and wisdom. It is by His grace that I am standing here before you today. And without His mercies, this moment would not have been possible. I am profoundly grateful to the academic home, University of Benin, for providing a fertile and intellectually invigorating environment that has nurtured my teaching, research, and scholarly growth. I acknowledge with deep appreciation the visionary leadership of the Vice Chancellor, Professor B. Omoregie, SAN, whose dedication to excellence continues to serve this great institution. I also salute the Governing Council, and I'm so happy the Chairman of Council is here with us, and other members of Council. It's really a privilege. I think my name says it, my destiny is really good. Ehimwenma. Thank you, sir. Thank you for coming. The Council for your life, sir. My gratitude extends to our Deputy Vice Chancellors, Professor Christopher C. Osundo, the administration, Professor Victor Ibilawaka, academics, Professor B. Ekema, for their diligent service. I equally appreciate the registrar, Mr. Demola A. Bobola Ibasa, Mr. Sergio Osifo, and University Librarian, Professor Mrs. Jane Abba, for their invaluable leadership. And profoundly indebted to my mentors, Professor Anthony Uyekme Osagi of blessed memory, who gave me employment in Winnipeg in 1998. I also thank Professor Godwin Omoregie, who also employed me in University of Ibadan after my master's program. Their guidance laid the foundation for my academic career and philosophy. I also acknowledge the chairman of the Board of Trustees, Pastor Osagi Ezan, and his honorable wife, the Chief Medical Director of UBTH. My heartfelt appreciation extends to the provost of the Postgraduate College, Professor David Izako, provost of the College of Medical Sciences, Professor Sabo, and as well as other deans and directors. If you see the book, your names are there. If you don't see our name, it's not intentional, please. I also acknowledge my departments and faculty. My head of department, Professor E.C. Oyenike, and my other colleagues in the department, the dean of the faculty, Professor T.O.T. Umobe. I appreciate you, sir. My beyond appreciation also goes to other faculties, other departments. They are all in the book, the ones I can remember. You know, being the wife of the Vice Chancellor, you have to cover everybody. It is well. And I also appreciate my collaborators. I wish to mention Professor Lawal Bibis, the former Vice Chancellor of Usman Danfodio University, former Vice Chancellor of Federal University, Binai Kebi, who gave me a travel grant to travel to Brazil to attend International Union of Biochemistry and Molecular Biology Conference in 2015. He has been a mentor too and a big brother. I also acknowledge my society, Nigerian Society of Biochemistry and Molecular Biology, Society for Experimental Biology of Nigeria, which I am president. I am deeply grateful to my Reverend and his wife, Dr. Mrs. Olu Ehimwenma, and the entire congregation of Central Baptist Church, Benin City, for their prayers, guidance, and encouragement. My profound gratitude to my beloved family, whose love, guidance, and encouragement continue to sustain me. I thank my siblings, Mrs. Imetia Osayale, Musa Oswale, Antonio Amike, Sandra Adeyemi, and Iwan Oswale for their unwavering support. My nieces, nephews, and my in-law, Mr. Omoregie, and other members of the Omoregie family. And also my in-laws on the other side, my mother-in-law's side. I wish to also remember with deep affection my late mother, Mrs. Mary Ulerewo Uswaime, who was most kind to me and brought me up in the proper way. My late mother-in-law also did her own work in this respect, because she brought me into this family. And I have never regretted joining this family from the day one. My children, Osayi say, Osazuwa, Osayame, Osasogie, you are wonderful. Your love patience and unwavering support continue to inspire me and strengthen me. And to my wonderful, brilliant, kind-hearted, down-to-earth, my coach, my confidant, my husband, Professor Omoregie. Your love, patience, let me talk. Your love, patience, encouragement, steadfast support remain my uncle. Your belief in my abilities. You actually encouraged me to go into academics in 1996. I told him I don't want to teach. I want to work in the pharmaceutical industry. He said, go, see you have an offer, take it up. And I did. And I didn't regret it one day. So your belief in my abilities and potential has carried me through every challenge. I love you deeply, Ede. To all who have contributed in diverse ways, seen and unseen, I remain eternally grateful. Thank you, I remain blessed. Of applause, please. A professorial delivery from an erudite scholar. And so at this juncture, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, it's my distinguished honor to invite the Vice Chancellor to recap the lecture. Mr. Vice Chancellor, sir.
Thank you very much. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, please permit me to request that we put our hands together again. Yes, she's my wife, but I know that she has a very deep interest now in the academic world. And from the very beginning, I didn't have any hesitation but to encourage her. And in turn, she also encouraged me to also be an academic. You'll be surprised that she began this road even before I did, and we have no regrets. So thank you very much. Mine is now to attempt a synopsis of the presentation. I want to warn that I'm not a scientist, so you have to pardon me if I don't pronounce the scientific language or words well enough. This inaugural lecture, titled Unearthing Nigeria's Natural Cures, my expedition as an ethnobiochemist and toxicologist, highlights Professor Ehimwenma Sheena Omoregie's scholarly journey. It defines the evolution of ethnobiochemistry as a bridge between indigenous knowledge and modern biochemical and toxicological validation. It depicts ethnobiochemistry's historical development from ethnobotanical documentation to molecular and system level understanding, situates the discipline within the Africa's biodiversity and traditional medicinal heritage, and acknowledges key global and Nigerian contributors. The lecture synthesizes over 3 decades of Professor Omoregie's research contributions, emphasizing experimental validation of Nigerian medicinal plants for instance, anti-anemic and anti-sickling studies, notably in Tefaria occidentalis, that is what we refer popularly as Ugu, and Jatropha tangerines, popularly known as Hospital Too Far, liver extracts. Second, anti-plasmodia and immunodulatory evaluations of plant extracts from malaria control. Third, antimicrobial studies including value-added applications of citrus byproducts. Fourth, immune signaling research. And number 5, metabolic syndrome research in glycemic indices of Nigerian staple foods and anti-obesity potentials of selected botanicals. And finally, but listed here at least, rigorous safety assessments to support evidence-based traditional medicine. Overall, the lecture demonstrates how culturally grounded ethnomedicinal claims can be translated into producible biochemical mechanisms, safety profiles, and potential therapeutic leads with implications for drug discovery, public health, biodiversity conservation, and sustainable development. It concludes by stressing the duality of nature, that is healing and harm, calling for stronger interdisciplinary collaboration, ethical benefit sharing with knowledge-holding communities, improved research infrastructure, and greater integration of advanced molecular biology tools, that is bioinformatics, molecular docking, genomics, and metabolomics, to position Nigeria as a center for ethnobiochemical innovation responsive to emerging diseases and support biodiversity conservation and national development. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Chairman, the Governing Council, please can we put our hands together once again for Professor Omoregie. Thank you very much, and may God continue to bless all of us.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chancellor. Please put your hands together for my boss. We now invite immediate family members to step up stage for photograph as the Vice Chancellor decorates the lecturer. And to lead the family up stage is my boss and spouse of the lecturer, the very distinguished Professor Omoregie, Senior Advocate of Nigeria. Brothers and sisters, please join. As you do that, I want to crave the indulgence of the Vice Chancellor to go through this long list of dignitaries who are here with us to support this worthy cause. Starting with the spouse of the lecturer, please put your hands together for Professor Omoregie, SAN. The children, Osayinese Irowa Omoregie, Osazuwa, Osayame, Osasogie. Please encourage them. Clap, 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 clap. We also welcome family members, Ms. Iyayi Omoregie, Henry O. Omoregie, Esquire, and his wife, Mrs. Mercy Omoregie. Professor Osawe Omoregie, Chairman, Board of Health, Uniben, we welcome you, sir. We welcome Engineer Idenye Omoregie, Executive Director, Dusk Limited. Council Chairman, our very distinguished Pro-Chancellor and Chairman of our Governing Council, Professor Shuaibu Umaru, we welcome you, sir. Please put your hands together. We welcome his lovely wife, Hajia Ramatu Umar Shuaibu. Welcome, madam. We welcome other members of the Governing Council, the Right Honorable Dr. Samson Osage, former Attorney General and Commissioner for Justice, Edo State. He was member of the House of Representatives. Please put your hands together. We also welcome the Right Honorable Rufai Chachangi, who was also a former member of the House of Representatives, now serving the University of Benin as a member of the Governing Council. Please appreciate him. Appreciate Right Honorable Chachangi. Welcome, sir. We welcome the representative of the Federal Ministry of Education in the Council, Mr. Emmanuel Oshinaike. Welcome, sir. We welcome other members of the Governing Council who are here. Professor Felix Aisi. Please applaud them as we call them. Professor Mrs. Ele Oyedo, Mr. Dennis Aigbe. We welcome very specially Dr. Reverend and Mrs. Olu Aibunomo of the Central Baptist Church. Welcome, sir and ma. We welcome Professor Kola Oladumoye, the Dean of Life Sciences, Federal University of Technology, Akure, Futa. Please put your hands together all the way from Akure. Thank you very much. We welcome the representative of the Vice Chancellor of Inaugural University, Okada. She is Professor Mrs. Georgina Irifeta. Welcome, ma. We welcome the President of the Benin Club, Dr. Owazie Bae Isibo. We welcome you. We welcome members of Benin Club. Please appreciate the presence of the Izegwepo of Opa Kingdom, Okako, Iwo, Pemi. Please put your hands together. We welcome the President, Benin National Congress, Ambassador Aya Mekwe Edokolo. Welcome, sir. We welcome the Provost, Edo State College of Agriculture and Natural Resources, Igwariahi, Dr. Andrew Omosefe. We welcome Professor E.A. Obobu, CEO Edokel Group, Honorable Osaitin Edosoma. We welcome you. Venerable Professor Johnson Oyedeji, we welcome you. Professor Emeritus T.O.K. Audu, welcome, sir. Professor Emeritus Julius Ihatua, welcome, sir. Professor Emeritus Musa Irafona, welcome, sir. Professor Emeritus Raymond Olayo, we welcome you, sir. So please put your hands together for our daddies. We welcome the former Director, Consultancy Services, Professor Bamidele Sani, former librarian of our university, Professor Luke Obasui. Former acting bursar, Mr. Gabriel Osadolo, we appreciate you, sir. Former DVC admin, Professor Jacob Ehiobo, welcome, sir. Former DVC admin, Professor Catherine Ukpama, welcome. Former council member, Professor Maureen Ebonwoyi. Former Executive Director, Rural Development, Honorable Prince Aredo, JP. We welcome Mr. Nosa Aredo. Again, I want to crave the indulgence of the Vice Chancellor. It's a star-studded house, sir. Please permit us to acknowledge those present. We welcome very specially the University Orator, Professor Gabriel Arishe. Welcome. In the audience, I cite the latest registrar in the universe. The registrar of the great University of Benin, Bimpe Omoyiwola. Please stand for recognition. We welcome the chairman, Uniben alumni, Mr. Paul Osahon, welcome. The Commissioner, INEC, Edo State, Honorable Barrister Imafidon Osaodion. Deputy Chief Whip, Edo State House of Assembly, represented by Mrs. Edosa. We welcome Honorable Bright Omoyekene, Igbinedion University Okada, Professor L.J. Josiah. We welcome MD Gracious Pathfinder Company, Eddie Efionayi. Chairman of ASU Uniben, Professor Inauna Edosa. We welcome you, sir. Former DVC Ekewan Campus, Professor John Ogene. Welcome. Director, Energy Utilization, Professor Emmanuel Ogujo. Professor Lawrence Asegwa, SAN. Please encourage him. Professor, Federal University of Technology, Akure. Professor Ganiu Obo, welcome you. Former DVC Ekewan Campus, Professor George Eriyaremu, welcome you. Former Dean Life Sciences, Professor Jerry Obe, welcome. Former Dean of Students, Professor Clement Iwodaro. Former Dean of Education, Professor Kingsley Omoregie. Professor Pakik and Professor Mrs. Minem Bino Wadia. Immediate past CMAC, UVTA, Professor Stanley Okubo. Professor Anaya Onyenepe, we welcome you. Venerable Professor Mon Wandiani, welcome, sir. Professor Mrs. Mary Ezemoye, welcome. Professor Andrew and Professor Mrs. Ugu, welcome. Professor Erosase Iyamu, we welcome you. Professor Ngozi Okoli, welcome. Professor Godwin Sajore, welcome. Professor Henrietta Obo, we welcome you. The list is too long, and so please pardon me to round off at that point. Mr. Vice Chancellor, sir, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, that's how we conclude the 364th inaugural lecture of the University of Benin. But just before we go, we shall rise for the Uniben Anthem and the National Pledge. All world, clarion call, arise, mighty Liben, robed in your purple and gold, clad in your fatal green hand, knowledge for service unto. The Vice Chancellor's procession may now leave the auditorium. We welcome Emmanuel Oriazua, Esquire, Member Governing Council Uniben. Welcome, sir. Please do not be... Oh, the pledge. Sorry, the pledge. Maybe I'm just excited, and I'm sure you know why. Thank you. National pledge. I pledge to Nigeria, my country, to be faithful, loyal, and honest, to serve Nigeria with all my strength, to defend her unity, and uphold her honor and glory. So help me God. Please remain standing, and please be informed that there is refreshment for everyone. You will wait. Also, the back gates of the university will be opened so that everyone who has come will be able to leave the campus.